wanna ride. So baby, get with me, 'cause this party goes on all night. You never get this right, 'cause when you're rolling with a G, 'cause this party goes on all night.
Hello and good day, everyone. Welcome to the Real Source Podcast, and I'm your host, JD. And today is episode 12, and what we will be discussing as topic 1 in episode 12 is why do some black men date outside of their race? Now, I think this is very subjective. I know I'm going to get some backlash probably for the things that I'm going to say on this. And I just want to let this be known that this does not apply to all. This applies to those who it applies to. You know, there's been so many bad, instances that have been relative amongst the black community, let alone with the black man, and coming from a black woman's perspective. Deadbeat dads don't want to take care of their kids, outside hustling all day, want to rap and make music and ain't doing nothing with the music. I could go on and on and on with all the businesses that you got and ain't nothing ever came about. I think the thing is what we lost in the core of our connectivity as far as black man and black woman is substance. Is substance. In the early days in the 40s and the 50s, black brothers and sisters was about substance. Just go look at the pictures. Just go look at the pictures of how they dressed back then, and how black men, how they carried themselves, with a certain elegance and a certain class. I think the powers that may be, those who run this world and those who influence us with the negativity, on TV, social media, and everything else like that, has weaponized feminism and has used black women as kind of like the top tier forefront runners of that. With that being said is, I don't need no man. I'm independent. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. And what has happened is, for black men, and I could speak on my behalf as well too, I love black women. I don't think there's nothing in the world that's more beautiful and more attractive than a beautiful black sister, but a black sister of substance, not the shallow, sexy reds. And I'm not going to go into all the names because I'm sure I'm probably going to get backlash for that. But those women versus the women that actually have substance and about. I think black men, we've always been interested in different ethnic groups of women. It is in us to be that way. It's in our bloodline. We've been early conquerors, besides what the fake history that you learned in school. Brothers been around for thousands of years and been around the world for thousands of years. Shit, Hannibal of Carthage went to Italy, right? And conquered most of Italy. And not that it's good, but he raped and pillaged most of the women over there, which is why you get some Italians, namely Sicilians, that have more coarse hair like us and browner skin. So we've been influencing the world everywhere that we've been. And I think for us, we want that connection with our black women. We want to have that soul love, as I call it, that real soul love, that feeling that when you listen to a good song and you and your lady is just slow dancing, because nobody does that anymore, that type of energy. I think what it is with us is we've been put on Front Street, and because more of the world internationally is seeing how we're so good at singing, we're so good at dancing, we're so good at sports, that it's making these women from these other countries become more attracted to us and be willing to do the things that our American African sisters do not want to do. Okay, for instance, and I speak on my own behalf, most of the women that I've been with that have been affectionate, that have taken initiative, that have wanted my well-being and wanted me to do something that was going to make me happy weren't from my sisters. And that's bad. That's bad because how we increase the love and the energy amongst our people is we encourage each other. So we should encourage each other. I encourage my sisters when they doing something good. As long as it's something that you're doing that makes you feel good and it ain't hurting nobody, it ain't trying to, rob nobody or, use somebody as a crab in a barrel to step on so you can climb your way up to the top, then I don't have no problem with that. But brothers, and I speak for myself, I don't judge people by color. I judge people by spirit. Okay? And you can have the same color as me and still be a shitty ass person. Okay? So we got to try to use the proper discernment when it comes to the reasons why we're dating outside the race. And where are we going to date outside the race? Even though race in the word itself is humankind, right? So we're being more technical. We're talking about the ethnic backgrounds of our race, which again would be African American. So, a lot of brothers like women that are more sensitive, that are more soft-spoken. Unfortunately, you don't hear too much of that coming from our African American sisters. A lot of them have a lot of strong qualities, and ain't nothing wrong with having strong qualities. It's the presentation. It's like my daddy always tells me, right? He would say, son, you got to be aware of how you deliver the message, right? And I tell him, yeah, Dad, I get you. I said, but see, I try the nice way. And the nice way doesn't usually work often with our people. But then when I turn to the NIGGA way, then all of a sudden I got your attention. And I think because of all the slavery, all the battering and oppression that's been going on for many, many years to our people, which is why the division is the way that it is now with social media and how these women have their platform, to speak about how great and wonderful they are and what it is that they want out of the man. So as black men, we always, again, we've been traveling the world forever, from the old school boats to the ships that they got now in the Navy and the Air Force, and everywhere brothers go, we attract people. Okay. I'm sorry that may not be the same case for sisters when they go to these places out the country, but the demand for a black man is a lot more higher in value than it is for women and a black woman. And the reason being is because there's more women in the world than there are men. So you're going to have your pick when it comes to women, whereas opposed to men, there's going to be a selective few that's in that percentile of what you want or what's available rather. So with that being said, let's be together because we want to be together. Let's not be together for the appearance, and y'all know what I mean when I say that. Brothers that go and get themselves a Caucasian lady, because that's what's for the appearance. No, be with a white woman because the white woman loves you and she loves you. Don't be with her because you're looking for attention, okay? Because we got the sisters there and they ain't going nowhere and we ain't going nowhere. So let's keep the love genuine between each other because we still need each other.
It's your girl, Andre Nicole, coming to you live from the Real Source Podcast, and I am at Old Baby. I got my girl here, Annika, and she's going to come and tell us about her threads.
What's up, guys? It's Annika, the founder and artist behind Ooh Baby. We're here at my store at 266 West 37th Street, where I've painted the walls. I have my latest collection where I match the walls to the collection. And I also customize things on the spot. I got my spray cans here. You can bring in anything and get it customized right out front.
So topic 2 is addressing maybe men within that environment have not had good experiences with racial dating within their own dating pool, with our own race. And I can say that that's pretty subjective, and I alluded to this before, You know, I've been, and I'm not proud of this, you know, and I've probably said this before, you know, I've been with my fair share of women, and I've been with my fair share of African American sisters as an African American man. I've been fortunate to date African American sisters that didn't have the characterization or the you know, the stigmatism of being a certain way. You know, I've been fortunate to where I've dated sisters that, you know, came from good families, came from good backgrounds, and weren't the belligerent and hostile and angry version of the women that they depict and promote to us and advertise to us all the time. You know, as a matter of fact, coming from a black family, and I can say this about all my female cousins are cool as hell. They don't yell. They don't scream. They got good jobs. They're soft-spoken. They can cook. They're ladylike. And they get their own shit. They don't need nobody to get anything for them. So, but that's a selective group, you know, and I'm not trying to be biased. I'm just being very honest, you know. Like if you met my cousins, you would see that. You would see how they all are. You know, they all got a good head on their shoulders. But with that being said, you know, the majority is not like that, you know, at least what you come across. And I think the experience part of the reason why black men, have been, you know, stepping out of their race and dating is because there's too much promoting of the negativity, you know, coming from the black women, you know, and how they've publicized it. Mainly the government weaponizing it, you know, to keep us away from each other, you know. Also, the other thing is that the black DNA trait is the most dominant DNA trait genetically out of all people. So if you want to revitalize your people, then you probably want to mate with black people, you know, and I'm not trying to be funny at all. I'm really, really mean this, you know. Just look at some of the athletes. Look at Patrick Mahomes, right? Patrick Mahomes is black and white. He sounds like a white boy, but when he plays football, he looked like a brother. Okay, I could go on and on and on. Klay Thompson, you know, another brother, you know, light skin, look like a white boy, but play ball like a brother, you know. I think just the fact that, you know, it's been so bombarded upon us, you know, with the experiences that we've had with dating within our race and how, you know, the negativity on both aspects. It could be for men as well, too. But right now we're addressing why black men specifically date outside of the race, you know. I don't think it's necessarily a preference. I just think that we like what we like, you know, and if it's a fine Asian girl, Indian girl, you know, Caucasian girl from Australia, you know, Puerto Rico, DR, don't matter, South America, and we meet a woman and she's giving us that energy, she's giving us that vibe, then we're going to be willing to go that way. You know, we're going to be willing to indulge in that. It don't got nothing to do with color. We not sitting there saying, oh, I need a white girl. There is some brothers that do that now. Don't get me wrong. But for the majority of us, we're not sitting there saying that, oh, I need me a white girl. Oh, let me go get me a Spanish girl, you know, because they less crazy. No, crazy is crazy. It don't matter what color you are, okay? It has a lot to do with your upbringing and your mindset, okay? I've met some crazy Chinese women in my time that were crazier than some of the sisters that I met. We're not going to get into that, you know? So I think, you know, I think it's subjective. I think the way that it's been promoted is to make it look like black men are disgusted with black women and we just want to date everything outside of our race. And that's not the case at all. You know, I still love my black sisters and I still would be willing to date a black woman, just like I'd be willing to date anybody else that's going to treat me right and is going to give me the proper love and is going to be accountable and retain and take initiative and be good in spirit. You know, that's all that it should really be about. Shouldn't be about, you know, We don't complain about y'all when y'all date white men, or when y'all with Spanish dudes, or when y'all with anybody else. It's no problem for us when we see y'all. But when you see us with something other than you, it's a problem. So let's be more realistic here, okay? Let's be more realistic, and let's be more genuine about what it is that we really want out of our partners. I don't need a beautiful sister, and I don't care what color you are. I don't need you posting 1,000 pictures of yourself on Instagram, or showing your booty off in the video, or showing how you could dance. And I don't care about none of that. None of that at all. Actually, if you my woman, I want you to be more secluded and more away from that than anything else. You know, because it goes to show sign of respect that you have for yourself and the respect that you should have for your man.
Creating a logo isn't easy. It's more than just shapes and colors. Your brand deserves more than a quick fix or template. At Logo Lab, we craft with purpose, precision, and passion. Leave the logo designing to us and watch your vision come to life.
So, with topic 3, as far as why would black men be interested in women outside of their race, emotionally or physically, you know, and I'm only gonna speak for myself, you know, and I'm very straightforward when it comes to this. I love all different ethnic women. What I usually tend to lean more towards is Asian women. And when I say Asian women, I mean of the continent of Asia. There's something that's attractive to me in the way that you carry yourself. If you're soft-spoken, you know, there's a certain demeanor that these women have internationally versus, now mind you can get Asian girls right here in America. You know, when I say Asian, again, the continent, that means India, everything that falls under the continent of Asia, Chinese, all of that, right? So with that being said, you know, I love all colors. My personal preference are Asiatic women, you know, women from Asian descent. You know, I love the culture. I love the mannerisms. I love that they're respectful. I love that they know when to say something and they know when to sit back and let the man be the man. Now, but we're talking about outside of America, okay? Because those same individuals that live in America have become Americanized. So they're no different from a black woman. They're no different from a white woman. They're no different from any woman that's been born in America, period. And I say that because unlike a lot of brothers that I know, I have experience with dating both sides, right? When I say both sides, I mean international and domesticated. So I dated a Japanese girl, right? Who was Japanese and Russian. She was a teacher, very attractive, looked like Kimora Lee Simmons, a bleached version, because you know Kimora got black in her, right? But this girl was very attractive, right? School teacher. But she was a pain in my ass. She was a nagger. She complained about everything. I used to cook for her. I used to take her out. We used to have sex all the damn time. And it was like it was never enough. Do you see where I'm going with this? Because that's kind of familiar with some of the sisters that we have in America, right? Now, this is an Americanized, half Japanese, half Russian woman. Now, I'm going to show you the difference when I dated a Japanese girl from Japan who came to America before she became Americanized, right? And you know what this woman used to do for me? The moment I came through the door, she would hug me and kiss me like she ain't never gonna see me again, okay? Which made me feel so happy, you know, to be in the presence of a woman that is so, like, attentive and enjoys me being there. This girl would cook me a meal. She would not say a word to me. She'd let me eat my meal. She'd take the plate. She'd go and clean the dishes. She would come back down and sit next to me. And then she would talk, or we would continue to do whatever it is that we was planning on doing after I got done eating. Very different. very, very different personality, very different upbringing. And as a man, we want peace. This is what we want because we deal with chaos every day in the world. So I think the stimulation that comes from that is like, wow, you such a lady. You make me want to go above and beyond for you. You make me want to do these things for you. Whereas when you got somebody in your ear all the damn time telling you what they want and what you need you to do, you're more reluctant to do less. You know, that's just the way it works. It's the same way when a parent tells their kid, you better not be outside doing all of that. And then the kid go and do that anyway. You know, whereas opposed to you give them the leniency and then they come back and they say, you know, I tried this and I really didn't like it. You know, so there is, you know, variation with all of this. And I just wanted to use myself as an example because myself have been with many different women, different ethnic women. And you gotta experience being with different women to know what it is what you like. You follow? Now, with that being said, don't go nowhere. When you come back, we got a little surprise for you. Did you know Lewis Howard Latimer, after receiving an honorable discharge, Lewis took a job at the Crosby & Gold Patent Law Office, where he taught himself mechanical drawing and by drafting and also observing work at the firm. He was eventually promoted to draftsman and assisted other inventors while designing his own inventions, including improved railroad car bathroom and an early air conditioning unit. Lewis went on to help draft a patent for Bell's design for the telephone and defended Edison's light bulb design. Thank you. This is the Real Source Podcast. I'm your host, JD. And if you like the episode, please share and subscribe with a friend. You can catch us at YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. Be kind, be well, be safe, and I'm out.
You never get this right, 'cause when you're rolling with a G, 'cause this party goes on all night, all night, all night, 'cause this party goes on all night.
This is classical, feeling is magical. Anything other than this is unimaginable. Just living the dream, fantasies is being played out. Deja vu, reenacting the scene. Calculate, add the numbers up, money is clean. Directive is the same, keep a positive team. Let's get together, all walk with a lean. Good impression felt and left, never acting obscene. We could poly to the early morn, drinking the brew. But we could take liquor shots, reminisce with the crew. Palette in many and the flavors is so tasteful. Educate with proper etiquette is so graceful. Grew up around ghetto streets but not hateful. Had a balance in my life growing up youthful. Children of a different tune, keep it all playful. Let the music come and grab you and it won't escape you.